So this video is to document the Hickman action that's in the Louis XV piano. It's a Mason Hamlin serial number 40646, build number 330, and just to show the basic components. I'll be doing a separate video that shows some of the unique pin configurations that are part of this action. A couple of things to point out. This represents the balance where the key pivots. And this feature here is part of a mechanism that has a spring attached to the underside of each key that goes into a tube that runs the length of the piano. And the purpose of that is that this tube can be rotated by a lever that's on the bass end cheek block. And what that does is it causes this tube to rotate down and consequently putting more pressure on this spring. This does a couple of things. It increases the touch weight, and it also affects the return of the mechanism to the rest position. The starting point is adjustable for each and every key through this particular screw, and then there's another screw that actually attaches it to the underside of the key. One thing that I found unique, and I don't really understand why they did this, is that to the top rail, underneath the screws that hold on this member, there are springs. And I've never seen that done on any Mason and Hamlin before, and I've seen several others that just have the screw. This is actually in the rest position, and as you can see, there are really basically 4 screws that control this action. This screw here that adjusts this particular spring, you got the adjustment of the capstan, and you got these 2 screws here. This screw is actually the kick-out screw that collapses the movement once it gets to a certain stage in rotation of the hammer. And then this particular screw controls stopping this entire member so that it doesn't keep on going. And the other interesting thing about this, hopefully you can see this in the video, this spring here is a counterbalance, and the position that it's put in these set of 4 holes is dependent upon whether you're doing, the lighter hammers at the treble end or the heavier hammers at the bass end. And I thought that that's very interesting because I can see the different settings that as you go up and down the piano where they're set. Obviously, this being the fulcrum, the closer you set it here, the lighter the hammer, and the heavier hammers would be further out so that it has more leverage. So that's really the basics of how this particular thing looks at the rest position. I'll try to make a video showing this action in the collapse position for comparison purposes.